OMG. Late Queen Elizabeth's last secret letter commands to not pay Prince Harry and Meghan Markle a dime and to kick them out of royal family forever. Don't give them a single dime, and get them out for good. These weren't words scribbled in a moment of rage or whispered behind palace curtains. According to shocking new reports, this was the final documented command from none other than Queen Elizabeth II herself. A private letter, sealed, hidden, and forgotten by most, has surfaced, and it could shake the foundation of the modern royal family. Imagine this: the world mourning the loss of a monarch, and just as the dust settles, the Queen speaks one last time. And what she says? It's not about her corgis, her tiaras, or her beloved Balmoral. It's a crystal-clear message. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle should be cut off, financially, publicly, and permanently.
But why?
What made Her Majesty, the epitome of grace and restraint, draw such a brutal line in the royal sand? And who uncovered this final royal bombshell? Grab your cup of tea or wine, no judgment, because this story is going to have you glued until the very last word. A hidden letter and a royal earthquake. Let's rewind. The Queen's passing was mourned across the globe. Flowers piled up at Buckingham Palace, tributes flooded social media, and for a moment, the world stood still. But behind those palace gates, something else was stirring. According to insiders, a sealed envelope marked for the eyes of the Privy Council only was quietly handed over to King Charles just days after the funeral. Most believed it was a ceremonial message, perhaps detailing state affairs or traditional protocols. But when opened, it revealed something no one expected: a direct royal order to cut off Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And not just financially. In bold, unmistakable handwriting, Queen Elizabeth allegedly instructed that Harry and Meghan be formally removed from royal records, stripped of all remaining privileges, and denied any further funding from the monarchy. A gasp echoed through the royal corridors. One staffer reportedly dropped her teacup. Yes, that dramatic. But this raises the ultimate question: what went so wrong? From golden couple to royal rebels, where did it all crumble? Once dubbed the future of the monarchy, Harry and Meghan's wedding was watched by nearly 2 billion people. They were young, diverse, modern, the refresh button on a centuries-old institution. But barely 2 years later, the glitter had turned to gloom. Their shocking Oprah interview, accusations of racism within the royal family, and allegations of emotional neglect stirred global outrage. While many sympathized with their struggles, others saw it as a betrayal. Queen Elizabeth remained publicly silent throughout. But privately, according to insiders, she was devastated. She didn't recognize the boy she once called her darling grandson, said a former palace aide. What followed were late-night meetings, endless strategy sessions, and finally, a letter. Her last royal command. The letter's language: polite yet piercing. Insiders who've seen the letter say it was classic Elizabeth, elegant, sharp, and impossible to argue with. She didn't name-call. She didn't rant. But her words carried the weight of a monarch who had seen war, scandal, and succession battles, and wasn't about to let a Netflix deal undo the monarchy. One source paraphrased her closing sentence as, "Let history judge them. But as for this family, our duty is clear."
Oof.
And here's the kicker. She even instructed that no future monarch reverse this decision without unanimous consent from the Privy Council. That's right, she basically booby-trapped the royal rules. But what made her so firm? What pushed her to the point of no return? The financial fallout. No more royal coins for the Sussexes. You might be thinking, weren't they already cut off? Well, sort of. Harry claimed in an interview that the royal family cut him off in 2020. But there were still financial arrangements lingering: property costs, security subsidies, brand endorsements quietly connected to palace influence. Even in exile, the Sussexes were indirectly benefiting from royal ties. Not anymore. The Queen's letter reportedly demanded that all financial support, direct or indirect, be terminated. That includes cutting off any access to royal estates, ending security subsidies, and removing references to their titles in royal commerce. In simple terms, no palace perks. No pound coins. No protection. It's like being fired from a job and then having your company car, laptop, and even your LinkedIn profile taken away. Brutal. The Montecito problem. They're profiting off the crown. What really made the Queen's blood boil? Sources point to one thing: commercial exploitation. From Spotify deals to Netflix specials, Meghan and Harry were cashing in on royal drama faster than the Kardashians on a scandal. Every interview, every docuseries, every book, according to palace insiders, was viewed by Elizabeth as a betrayal. One royal insider confided, she didn't mind them leaving. She minded them cashing in on what they left behind. And while she may have been composed in public, behind closed doors, the Queen, famously fond of her evening gin and Dubonnet, was reportedly furious. So, she wrote the letter. A final move to end what she called a self-serving circus. But what does this mean for Harry and Meghan now? Stripped of power, titles, trust, and tabloids. Let's be real, Harry and Meghan aren't going broke anytime soon. But this letter is a massive blow to their credibility. Without formal titles, their influence fades. Without royal connections, their brand weakens. They've built their identity around being former royals, but now they're just, well, former. The letter even instructs that their children, Archie and Lilibet, not be granted HRH status, effectively ending their royal lineage. It's like being unfriended by your grandma, who also happens to be Queen of the United Kingdom. And the media? They're feasting on every word. Headlines scream betrayal, revenge, justice. Social media is ablaze. One tweet went viral for saying, the Queen's final mic drop was posthumous. Iconic. Public reactions: Team Queen versus Team Sussex. If you've spent any time online, you know the internet is divided. Some call the Queen's letter cold and outdated, accusing the monarchy of clinging to old-world rules. Others praise it as a bold move to protect royal dignity. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan's supporters say this letter is proof that the couple were right all along, that the firm is ruthless and unsympathetic. But here's the thing. Both sides make noise, and that keeps this story burning brighter than a crown-polished spotlight. So, whose side are you on? What now? The future for Harry, Meghan, and the royal family. This letter isn't just a dramatic footnote. It could shape the monarchy's future. Charles is now stuck with a decision: honor his mother's dying wish or try to rebuild bridges with his estranged son. If he obeys the letter, he risks deepening the divide and possibly alienating a younger, more modern public. If he ignores it, he risks defying a monarch who reigned for 70 years and turning palace loyalists against him. It's a royal lose-lose. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan are reportedly furious. Their reps have yet to confirm if they've read the letter, but sources close to the couple say they view it as a final act of cruelty. But could this be the moment they pivot? Could they finally move on from the royals and forge their own legacy? Or will the royal drama continue, fueled by one last command from the crown? What can we learn from all this? You might not have royal titles unless you're secretly a duke, DM me, but there's something universally relatable here. Ever had a family fallout? Felt rejected by someone you love? Faced a choice between personal happiness and family expectation? That's what this story is about. It's about power, pride, and the messy, emotional chaos of family dynamics. Even queens and princes aren't immune. And hey, maybe the takeaway is this. Sometimes the most powerful word you can say is no. No to manipulation. No to drama. No to people who use your name when it benefits them, but ghost you when it doesn't. That's what Queen Elizabeth did in her final letter. Not out of spite, but maybe, just maybe, out of love for the crown she protected all her life. Final thoughts. History has its eyes on all of them, and us. Whether you're Team Queen or Team Sussex, this story reminds us that even the mightiest families carry wounds. And even the most powerful matriarchs leave behind instructions when they go. But the real question is, will we learn from it? Will we protect our boundaries like the Queen did? Will we speak truth like Harry and Meghan? Or will we keep hoping for fairy tales in a world full of flawed heroes? The monarchy may never be the same. But one thing's for sure, The Queen had the last word. And wow, what a word it was. The royal fallout. Inside palace walls after the letter's revelation. So, what happened inside the royal family when this letter came to light? You can bet your last crumpet it wasn't just quiet sighs and nods of agreement. Sources close to the palace say King Charles was visibly shaken upon reading the letter. One aide reportedly described the scene as, "The air felt like it had been sucked out of the room."
Why?
Because this wasn't just a personal note. This was a monarch's final directive, written in her own hand, with all the symbolic weight of 7 decades on the throne. Even more awkward? Charles has reportedly been in private talks to slowly rebuild his relationship with Harry, especially after Harry hinted at regrets during recent interviews. Now, with this bombshell, those plans may be dead in the water. And what about Prince William? You'd think he'd be thrilled, right? Not quite. According to insiders, William is torn. While he agrees that the monarchy must preserve its dignity, he also knows how hard this will hit his brother and that their relationship might be beyond repair after this. But the biggest question echoing through Buckingham Palace? Do we publish the letter? Yes, there's actual debate over whether or not to release the letter publicly. Some in the palace argue it should be sealed forever to avoid further scandal. Others think it's too late and that full transparency is the only way forward. You know what that means? More leaks might be on the way. Stay tuned. Meghan's reaction. A storm brews in Montecito. Let's talk Meghan. If there's one thing she's proven, it's that she doesn't go down without a statement. Literally. According to one of her inner circle members, who may or may not be enjoying oat milk lattes with her at a Montecito cafe right now, Meghan sees this letter as a declaration of war. And yes, the phrase "she is furious" came up more than once.
Why?
Because Meghan believes this is part of a larger effort to silence her, to strip her of credibility and make her look like the villain in the fairy tale. Sources say Meghan is already considering a new documentary to counter the claims. The working title? Exiled. The Other Side of the Crown. Catchy, right? But beyond the camera-ready comebacks, there's real pain. Friends say Meghan feels betrayed, rejected, and humiliated. She reportedly asked Harry one night, "Did your grandmother ever even like me?"
Yikes.
That one hits deep. Archie and Lilibet, the youngest royals caught in the crossfire. Now, this is the part that stings the most. Queen Elizabeth's letter allegedly requests that Archie and Lilibet not be given royal titles or listed in the line of succession. That's a major move, effectively erasing their royal future. Critics argue that the children shouldn't be punished for their parents' choices, and even some royal watchers who support the monarchy found this part a bit harsh. But others claim the Queen was merely securing the crown's legacy, preventing future confusion or exploitation of titles by family members living abroad and operating outside of royal duty. Regardless of where you stand, it's heartbreaking to know that 2 young kids are now at the center of this international family feud. Can you imagine growing up and reading this in history books?
Wild.
The media frenzy. Queen's final word becomes global headline.